Hey there, Destructorinos. Before we talk about Teardown, I would like to thank some folks like Iron Guy 410, Zach Sanchez, Jim Davis, Bobby Brewski, and Carlo Espino. All of these are people who have gone to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kicked us some money and help support the network and all of the shows on the network and the people who make the shows on the network. You can be like them by going to patreon.com/DuckFeed.tv. Thanks.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club favorite.
And this week, changing it up, mix up this time. This week we're talking about Teardown. It's a puzzle game developed by Tuxedo Labs for the PC in 2020, and this is a Cole jam.
Yeah. Not like the Cole jam I have to scrape off the bottom of my car every morning.
Yeah. I put it there until you learn.
Yeah, it's not put so much as secrete.
Well,
not learn so much as flee. This is so you brought this. I'm really glad you did. This is a great game. I got a recommendation for you real quick.
Okay.
Just before we get into this, in researching this, I did not realize this was made by some of the people who made Smash Hit. You ever play Smash Hit?
I never played Smash Hit.
Oh, it's great. It's like one of my favorite iOS games. It is, you are on a roller coaster basically, and you're flinging ping pong, or not ping pong.
I have played that. Yeah, you talked about that. Yeah. That's where you're throwing pinballs at glass, right?
Yes, at glass panes, which is the most satisfying thing you can do in a video game that you can't do in real life. And this game captures tons of that energy. And when I saw some of the developers of Smash Hit went on to make this, I was like, oh shit,
there we go.
That makes tons of sense.
Yeah. No, I knew they had an iOS company, but I didn't put together that those went hand in hand.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just people who've watched my streams know that I'm crazy about this game. I did a bunch of this on Duckstream last year. I've just done a few odds and ends streams of kind of the pre 1.0 version of this. Crazy into it, and I'm very happy that we're getting a chance to talk about it here.
Yeah, it's way good. Recommended, and there's no spoilers or anything, so you can wait until the end of the episode for us to sell you on it before you go out and buy it. But I recommend you go play it, especially now that it's out.
Yes,
which we'll talk about.
Yeah. In this game, you play as the owner, operator, and sole employee of a teardown company in the fictional region of Laquelle. Teardown, like it's an actual thing. Like if a building needs to go away, they hire demo people to take it down and replace it. Yeah.
I know that, but you just play a criminal in this that does crime things. There's no company.
Nope.
Like that's not what you're doing. You're not officially getting hired to do jobs. You basically constantly take on shady breaking and entering jobs in order to keep your mom in coffee.
Yes, and heat and whatnot
and stuff like that. And eventually build yourself a nice, there is a weird little sub theme about throughout this game about how crime pays. And you slowly make yourself rich. In addition, what begins as desperation is actually something you're doing because it's fun and you want the money.
I love the way that your home base improves between every episode. Yeah,
it's very good. It's a first-person game. And you go out to a handful of maps. You're going to go to them with repeating goals, and they're going to have different kind of world states to them. And you have to do these objectives. There are mandatory and optional objectives, and most of your tools are elements of destruction.
Yes.
To accomplish those goals. The goals are not always destroy.
No.
Oftentimes they're not, but your tools are destroy is your verb.
Yes, you're going to be destroying. Basically, everything requires you to tear a bunch of stuff down in order to make your to plan your route, which is really what this is about. That is aided by the engine of this. Like, this is a game that was made engine first, and then they built a game around it. But you'll recognize this game in screenshots because it's made entirely out of these destructible voxels, rendered as tiny little cubes. And pretty much everything is physics modeled. There are different kinds of materials, dirt, wood, metal, plastic, glass, etc. And they destroy under different conditions. There are some quirks about this, like a building will kind of stay standing upright if it is secured with one brick.
It's janky as hell.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole thing is nonstop jank. Like, it is not, it's physics based, and it has its own consistent physics. It's not like Bad Rats, with non-deterministic physics, but they're deterministic within the weird way, like, version of this world that you have. So, like, I find there to be a lot of jank in how things behave in this, but it's not a bad thing, because the second half of this game, other than the like executing a plan part, is dumb chaos.
Oh yeah.
That happens, that's comedy chaos that happens in any kind of break shit game.
Yeah, you're the slapstick that happens when plans go wrong, and that's kind of my thesis about this. Like, I love about this what I loved about like Heat Signature, right? Which is it is this perfect meeting place of meticulous planning and unpredictable chaos. I love that intersection. It is really interesting to me.
Yeah, it's the same thing that the best moments of Hitman rely on. It's the best thing that can happen is plans going wrong in a video game, and you can definitely kind of crank that needle a little bit too far.
Yes,
I know that, like, tons of people, our friend Will, really big fan of Monaco, which has never worked for me. I don't know if you ever got into that.
No,
but that also has plans going wrong. It just has never been fun for me to play. This does plans go wrong in a way that actually works.
Yeah.
At least for me. So you get these tools throughout. You have access to a variety of tools. You unlock them as you go. You gain experience kind of as you go through missions. And you upgrade these with money, and you get money by doing stealing valuables from levels before you kind of instigate the chaos.
Yes.
This is a minor bugbear I have with the game, and it makes more sense to talk about it here than an individual level.
Yeah.
It can be real bland to sweep a level for treasure.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can usually do it while you're scoping out things, but the levels are pretty big. They're dense. They're made to be used for multiple stages.
Yeah.
So it can just get irritating. For me, treasure just became this thing that if I happen to run into it, I grabbed it, and I didn't worry too much about optimizing my scores.
I played that same
tools.
I played that same way, just because it was a bummer searching every nook and cranny for it, and I didn't feel like I fell behind any power curves. I still played and managed to get all of the optional objectives and the majority of these missions in the first game, the first part of the game. So it is kind of meant to be played, I think, the way that we played it, where if you run across it, then you snag it.
The other thing that is a minor bugbear, and this plays into optional objectives for me, was, and this is, I really liked this game a lot. I'm not just getting my complaints out of the way now, is that as you get more tools, it does enable more efficient strategies. So I think that you are encouraged to replay these levels.
Yes. Yeah.
I find that to be a little bummer, like coming back, because you're going back to the levels regardless for new objectives. They reuse them a lot. Going back and doing the same objectives with more tools to do more optional objectives feels a little padding-y.
Little bit.
Like you can barely do the optional objectives initially. I'm sure, speedrunners can do it. Like, there are people who can do them right out the box with no tools.
Yeah.
Having to come back later in the game to redo it feels a little like grindy to me, or like farmy or something.
Yeah. And it's my relationship with that is it's kind of in a similar way to finding the stealable valuables, which is like, if you're going through every mission, doing the main ones and like maybe a couple of the optional ones that happen to be on your way, you do not by any means have to be a completionist in order to succeed. What ends up happening, like the way that goes, is each of the objectives that you get adds to your total experience. By doing all of them as soon as you can, like 100%ing a level, what you end up getting is maybe a new tool a couple of missions earlier than previously.
You can jump the curve a little bit. So you can kind of do that grinding early on in order to avoid it later.
Yeah.
You can also, what I want to set an expectation, I guess, just for people who have the Gary grind set, is that you don't have to redo levels.
No,
if you don't want to, you can just go through the game and get optional objectives when they show up, but don't sweat them.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the Slack, that's kind of that's a small subset of our listeners, but it's a way for me to watch people talk about the game. That they're playing, were like really struggling with it, and I think it's because they were trying to get the optional objectives right off the bat, without a lot of tools. And like again, it's possible, but it's harder than it needs to be, and it's probably not very fun.
Yeah, my suggestion would be like make your plan. Like, okay, here's my route that I would need to go to get all of these, but then be very quick to, all right, well, I can't get that because I'm still halfway across the map when the timer goes out. So I'm going to skip this one, and this one, just start cutting the optional objectives off, and just see how many you can get before you can make it with your current tool set. Yeah.
Yeah. Or ignore them completely.
Yeah.
And just do the base objectives and have a breezier experience.
Yeah.
Which is also fine. It kind of depends on how much time you want to spend in this world.
Yeah.
And the game gives you lots of ways around that by also having a really fun sandbox mode.
Yeah.
We talk about different modes.
Yeah. And while we're kind of making our little statements about this, I am a sicko for this game. So like I really enjoy finding the perfect path through these, or getting everything, at least making a very strong attempt at it. This is the rare game that gets around my aversion to looking for perfection, just because the planning loop of this is really satisfying to me. It scratches a particular itch.
Yeah. It can be enjoyed at multiple levels.
Yeah. It's a really accommodating game. Yeah.
Yeah. Like many games, you can, it's up to you kind of how you approach it.
You're making your own Sunday.
Yeah. Which is always good. The tools you get, so you have a basic sledgehammer. That's your main one. We'll talk about the other tools as they get introduced, and how they are used.
Yeah.
But generally these are implements of destruction. Sometimes they're not.
Yeah. They fall into like bombs, guns. You get a blowtorch that will constantly be setting things on fire. It's a good time. You can do makeshift stuff as well. There are propane tanks just littered around. More propane tanks than the front of a Lowe's, which is nice. And these will cause a sizable little explosion. Early on, you're going to be kind of on a lookout for these things to gather them. You also get non-destructive tools. You get a fire extinguisher to put out the aforementioned flames. There is like a fire and propagation system here. You can get a leaf blower, which is nice to clear small rubble from your blasts, or to clear roads for driving.
Yeah. And then you can get constructive tools. These would be the biggest roadblocks I had in terms of getting optional objectives early on.
Yeah.
When I was not getting enough of these. These are planks, which are used to build ramps and can also really jankily attach to things.
You can use them as fasteners. Yeah.
You can use them as fasteners if you go very slow on what it's fastened to, if you fasten it to a vehicle. But then you eventually get cables that are much stronger.
Yes. Yeah.
Than that. You also get a non-destructive tool of your spray can, which is spray paint. And this is so you write down reminders and kind of draw your path through the level and draw dicks on things.
Of course. Yeah.
And clits and other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Just draw whatever you want, whatever dirty thing you want to draw on the wall. You can. I want to make sure people knew I was here. So.
As they come in and patch this place up between missions.
Yeah, this destroyed junkyard is the work of El Dicko.
He strikes again.
We're
fucked. El Dicko is here.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love this spray can. I just again using this to plan your route, either making a follow the line kind of thing here, or just okay, I blew a lot of holes in the side of this building. Just let me do a quick zip of yellow paint around this one to highlight that yes, this is the one you want to jump through. stuff like that. Yeah, this is a really interesting tool that is, kind of perfect because, again, this is a game about planning to a certain degree.
In general, I use this to mark down footpaths.
Yes.
But you can use it for lots of different stuff, which I like.
Yeah. The levels are dotted with these cars that you can drive around. You get cars, you get boats. There's drivable construction equipment, your backhoes and your bulldozers and stuff like that. That construction equipment, when you are a kid on site, you've got real powerful abilities. Like this is always really good, especially the crane is super useful. But all of them can be destroyed themselves. There is durability on some of these. Some cars, some vehicles are ridiculously fragile. Especially boats. They're super easy to sink, and they don't handle very well.
I would go as far as to say no vehicles in this handle particularly well.
No.
I think that the fact that driving is difficult and shitty in this is part of that chaos factor.
Yes.
Yeah. But you need to do it because the spaces that you have to navigate in the chaos phase of stuff are too long to have it. You will need to set up escape vehicles that will allow you just to go between different points of interest.
Yeah.
On the map during your actual execution. And they drive like shit. This is where, like, part of my thesis on this game, and it would be interesting because I think that you and I, we certainly play this in different ways. But the way that these kind of drive like shit, what this did was train me to think like a speedrunner.
Yeah.
In a lot of parts where I was trying to optimize.
Yeah.
Like I've set this plan so I can get out if everything goes perfectly. How do I make everything go perfectly?
Yep.
And that means that like this weird rock that is indestructible, that's right in the path of this car that I'm driving to the next target. I need to remember to avoid that, but I can't really slow down because, again, I'm optimal at this point. So you try to find these ways to shave off just milliseconds.
Yeah.
Like if I crash the car into this ramp, when I exit the car, I'll end up on the ramp rather than parking the car and jumping out.
Yeah.
Things like that. These little miniature optimizations that happen with the vehicles.
No, I definitely would pull out my phone's stopwatch and like time a run from one door to another, just to see if hopping into it, and then time it versus hopping into a car and driving up to it. Just to, kind of see like, okay, is this distance long enough that the added acceleration of the car would get me there faster? Or, will that initial, will the friction of getting up to speed kind of make it a wash? Right.
Yeah.
So that ended up being like down to that level.
The way that you're dealing with a puzzle that you can both solve and then also can measure how efficiently you solved it based on these exterior things makes this almost like an execution and reflex version of a Zachtronics game.
Yeah.
In some ways through like a lens. It's not just about getting the thing done. It can be about how efficiently you do the thing. We should talk about that basic phase.
Yes.
Those two basic phases, because that is the core loop of the game.
Right. So in part one, which is what we're going to be covering today, for a long time, this was the game that you played. Most
part one, like chapter one,
yes.
Not part one of the two phases we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. So like I said, we've got two phases. There's setup and escape. The first phase is your setup. You are walking around the map. It's important to say that at least in, chapter one of the game, there are no, there's nothing that can spot you. This is not a stealth game. Yes. Everything is empty. There's no time limit here. You walk around, you scope out your objectives, you see where they're located, and a plan starts to take form. You can go into your map. It is a real-time bird's eye view that shows you the locations of your different objectives, and you can also mouse over them to get a picture of like what exactly you're looking for, but also see the relative elevation as well, because that's often that is often a part of your plan. A basic heuristic is you want to work from top to bottom, right? It's easier to go down than it is to go up.
Yes. Yeah. And what you're doing in this section is not only kind of casing the joints, you're terraforming the environment to make a route that is fast enough.
Right.
The main verb you're going to do for this is it is slow to go around a wall to go to the door. It is faster to make the fastest point is a straight line.
Yes.
Right. Going downwards. So you can just destroy the wall and walk out the wall and jump down.
Yeah.
You're doing things like that constantly. Like this little bump is in the way. This tree is in the way. What if it wasn't?
Yep. It is way too slow to go up these stairs. What if I instead blew a hole in the ceiling, through the floor below my target, and then put something here that I could step up onto, put a crate here, and I can just barely reach it. And that cuts off, 4 seconds from my time.
Yes. What if the safe is too heavy to move down these stairs? What if I just exploded the floor under it?
Yeah.
The safe's indestructible, but no floor, it'll fall down. And then I can manipulate it down here. It's all little decisions like that you're making. And in that first phase where you have no time limit, you're experimenting with that stuff too.
Yeah.
It's not just planning. It's not all in your head palace. Like you are not like a worse version of this game. Sometimes we talk about something that would destroy a game, like a single change. If you were penalized for making, doing destruction that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
If they added one more metric to this game, which was how can you do this with the least amount of destruction? Absolutely just fuck the game at that point. Because the freedom to just be like, what if this house wasn't here? and destroying it and stuff is so freeing and fun and against the spirit of video games. That it's sublime. It's really, really fun to think your way through this deconstructible environment.
Yeah. The only meaningful constraint on you is kind of your ammo, right? How many bombs you have, how many pipe bombs you have. This game gives a very distorted view of how many problems shotguns can solve.
Oh, tons.
The many problems.
It's a fast sledgehammer.
It's instant door. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good. I use the shotgun constantly. And then this is complicated. So this would be really easy if this is all you had to do was just make a route. Once you do the thing, usually the first thing, you get a time limit that pops up. This tends to do with an alarm.
Yeah.
And the alarm will go off. You have 60 seconds to do all the objectives. It starts with the first objective. You have to do the rest and then get back to your car.
Right. Make a clean getaway. It's worth noting, and I think this is really, really cool. Sometime between when they first released this in early access and when they did the full version here earlier this year, they added accessibility options. You can either lengthen the alarm time to give yourself more than a minute if you find yourself just constantly running a bit too slow, which is a really good accessibility option, or just I don't want this to be as rigorous as it is option, or you can shorten it. You can say, okay, how many can I get all of the primary objectives in 30 seconds, right? You can give yourself a challenge. The fact that goes both ways for a bunch of different modifiers, not just time, I think is a really good decision that Tuxedo made.
Yeah, it's what I want basically all games to do.
Yes.
We talked about this. It's the Celeste model of difficulty options, which I think is ideal.
Yeah.
You can also just give yourself all the tools and things. Like this game recognizes that it exists on a spectrum of like prescriptive tense puzzle game and sandbox.
Yeah.
And it allows you to put that slider where you want it.
Yeah. Incredibly good decision.
Even while going through the goals.
Yeah.
Really good.
If you don't make your escape in time, if you don't get to your vehicle, then a security helicopter will spot you and it's game over. This is a game where you will often fail and need to readjust your plan. That can either be kind of going back to your quick save right before you started the timer to go and do something that'll shave a couple of seconds off here, XYZ. Sometimes it means starting over entirely. Starting over entirely is not as big of a bummer as it sounds because you've already done a lot of the work of figuring out what works and what doesn't. So you can just go and do what you need to. You're not starting over entirely from scratch because you've already done a lot of the legwork.
I will never completely start over. Nunkar. I will make it work. That work will not go in vain.
Okay.
So to me, I found it to be a pretty big bummer starting over.
Okay.
Just starting over with a fresh map, because there would be a lot of preparation. I would do like a lot of placing cars where I want them, a lot of knockdowns, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did not want to do that. So instead I would just keep shaving off seconds until I could make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
The routes I used ended up being highly, like, poorly planned, but executed as well as they possibly could be executed.
Yeah.
Which is, again, it's valid.
Yeah.
So like to me, a lot of the fun was finding ways to like make this work within that phase, within the chaos phase, the action phase.
Yeah. I'm out of shotgun rounds and pipe bombs, so how can I use the holes that I've already made to to make this work?
Yeah. Or like if I had to go back and change like a minor thing along the way, like, in execution, I clip this corner of this post. Like, I got to get that post out of here because that's throwing off my driving.
Yeah.
Something like that I would definitely do, but I never started over. You certainly can. One thing I think that would help this game in both kind of styles of play is a faster iteration loop.
Yes.
Quick saving and quick loading is slow. I wanted this to be like Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
Like hold R and just immediately end up back at your quick save.
Yeah. Based on what I've read about it, apparently saving and loading this is a technical marvel in and of itself because it's tracking state of all these different voxels. This is something that's only going to get faster as machines get faster. But I agree with you. A tighter iteration loop, I think, would help experimentation because that's what tighter iteration loops do. Yeah.
And it's not I don't blame them.
Yeah.
For it. It would make it a better product. But I definitely sympathize with why it's like that.
Yeah. I love when you finish a mission, it will show you the path that you took on kind of this flying bird's eye view map of the stage.
Like that horrible grandson from Family Circus.
Yep.
His ghost pervert grandpa's always watching him.
Oh, man. Poor Jeffy.
Oh, Jeffy walked home from school in a weird way. This I gotta tell all the other ghosts.
I gotta snitch to Mabel that that's where her pies went.
Hey, Einstein and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Listen, you'll never believe what my grandson did. He walked home in a kind of weird way. Check it out. Like, hey, Black Panther. Check this out.
Chadwick, come over here.
Hey, Ruth Conda forever. Get over here.
Oh my gosh. Let's put it in the newspaper, next to where we talk about people dying.
Yeah. Just in Heaven's newspaper where he's just like saying it's real like extra Todd Smells kind of thing. Just imagining Jeffy's grandpa doing his own little homemade printing press.
I'm pretty doubtful of your sources.
Yeah. Everyone has their own version of the grandchild times. God, heaven would be tedious. Like all these grandparents just being like, "Oh, look at him walk." I fucking know, man. I was just there. I walked.
Yeah, I can see everything.
Yeah, I can see it. We're all omniscient, Grandpa.
Yeah, give me Oblivion. Come on.
I imagine there's probably a Cool Kids section where you don't have to like hang out with Jeffy's grandpa.
Yeah, give me my
own. Be
pot.
Polite, but you don't have to.
You can just multiple man your way out of it. You can copycat it. Just leave one there and go. Yeah.
I know that if with my luck, like the first day, like I'd be stuck in a group project with him.
Oh yeah.
Something. We'd be trying to figure out how tall of a bridge we could make out of popsicle sticks or something. Or like how far we could drop an egg without it breaking.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, well, Jeffy would do this. I'm like, fuck, man. I don't care what Jeffy would do with an egg.
I cannot get on board with any version of Heaven that has group projects, Gary.
No, that was the joke. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a joke.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't glimpsed the other side. I came back with horrifying news. Cool, I've been flatlining and
going out for a quick F-line sesh.
I do an F-line session. I just found out something horrible. Group projects.
As far as the eye can see.
Yep. Take that, Eric Clapton, son. Yeah. Working with your peers in heaven.
There we go. Good.
Anywho.
Do you want me to fucking clap? I liked it. It's fine.
No, I wasn't. I don't want anything else from that. I'm just trying to get us off of that.
Okay. All right.
I was looking for directions for away from there.
Oh my gosh. So a cool thing is you can retry every mission if you want to. You just go to your computer, go into the menus, go to the location on the map, and you'll just see it there. It'll show you any that are missing objectives. Just a good interface all around here. And there's sandbox mode. There's sandbox and challenges, where you can just either go into a map and fuck around and see, like, can I get rid of this building? The answer is probably. Or you can do kind of more directed ones, these challenges, which are it's 3 challenges for each map. 2 of them are available based on part 1 stuff, either timed destruction, like how many voxels can you destroy in 60 seconds, or timed steal as much as you can objectives. And those are fun. Just big and freeform kind of stuff.
The sandbox mode of this gave me the first time I played GTA 3 feelings.
Yeah.
Of like me just setting up ramps and stuff. And you can add rocket boosters to vehicles and rockets to inanimate objects to turn them into vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just really, really fun to like attach rockets to this lawn chair, sit in it, and then set it off and just see what happens. Like real fun Gary's Mod Minecraft shit.
Yeah.
Can kind of happen in that. And you have unlimited tools and unlimited ammo to do this stuff. So you're participating in the joy of destruction and also playing with the box. It's great.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
When I loaded up the sandbox for Lee Chemicals, kind of one of the first maps you go to, and I saw that there was a monster truck near the starting point, and I was like, hell yeah. When you do the destruction one, like they give you like a tractor trailer full of bombs. And all kinds of like gigantic explosives, and you have to figure out how to set them and set them off in the right amount of time. They know how to make these things fun. Yeah,
they did a great job. The game looks great to me. Mm-hmm. This is also something I found surprising to be controversial. Not just in the Slack, but I saw online some people do not like how this game looks.
Weird.
It looks awesome to me. I love a voxel.
Yes.
There are a lot of kind of visual effects going on. This kind of tilt shift. Effect that puts things in the far distance, makes them real blurry.
Yeah.
To kind of give it this model, like you're down in Legoland from a Lego's perspective. Mm-hmm. Works for me. Yeah. Like I think it looks great.
Yeah, I think it looks great. The music in this is amazing. I've had tracks from this just stuck in my head, pretty much since I first started playing it. Just real good slinky heist stuff. That's going. Just that cue when you first set off the alarm. Just that.
That's really good. And then as it gets crescendos over the course of a minute, like them having the same time limit. I wonder what they did with the music for the that. Like if you give yourself 2 minutes.
I don't know
if they had to do a new composition, because as it is, it times out really perfectly.
Yeah.
So when you're just barely making it as the helicopters arrive, like the helicopters are part of the sound mix and everything. It's really intense.
So I haven't seen how granular the changes get there. I would imagine that if it is, in 10-second increments, they just found a way to like loop particular bars or sections to stretch it out. Yeah. Man, just the crash cymbal in that particular track is amazing.
It's really good. Yeah. It's like really, really good. Pitch perfect.
Yeah.
In terms of a composition for what's happening.
Mm-hmm. The game. I love the story in this. It's barely necessary, but I think it is incredibly funny. The fact that you are, for the majority of this, just involved in this petty feud between these 2 rich assholes.
Yeah, if it has anything to say, it's about rich people,
right?
Being fucking idiots, like them both hiring, the same poor person to get back at each other, and then that poor person becoming rich on the back of that is cute.
Yes,
it's like. One of my minor bugbear with the way the story is told is I felt like there was probably like a lot of fun Easter eggs in the news reports. I did not want to watch them because they were slow.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I wanted to get back to the game because this game has a really fun loop. It has downtime built in, in the planning phase, kind of, or like slower pace time. So the time returning back to my house, other than seeing like how I had made expansions to my house and stuff, was not super valuable
Yeah.
to me.
The news,
is fine.
The news reports are funny, just because they start talking about this spree of suspiciously similar crimes, and nobody can figure out what it is. But yeah, the scroll on it is too slow. I would almost rather there be a like a little news tab or like an RSS reader kind of thing, where you get to see the text of those. It is not helped by being a video.
Yeah. Even if it was a voice and it could happen while I was going around my apartment.
Yeah.
I didn't just have to stand there and literally watch a TV. But this, the story is very, very, very slight. I have not played very much of part 2 yet, so I don't know if the story continues. And we'll talk about the part 2 and part 1 stuff in a minute. Tuxedo Labs, the developer of this, founded in Sweden by a programmer, Dennis Gustafsson, who worked with another developer named Emil Bengtsson in order to make Teardown's engine.
Yeah.
And this is Bengtsson. And this is, I think Dennis is the smash hit film.
Yeah. Both of them worked for the mobile developer. Mediocre was the name of it.
Gotcha.
That did smash hit. But they were inspired by just a game art program called Megavoxel, saying like, hey, this makes really cool looking stuff. Let's make an engine that can use this. Magic of Voxel. There we go. You can actually use Magic of Voxel to make assets to put in the game, along with the map editor that they give you. This is a really like widely moddable game. And if we do part 2, I'm going to mess around with some mods. But they wanted voxels, they wanted physics, they wanted real-time ray tracing, knowing that all of this would be impossible or very difficult, very resource intensive if they did it with normal polygon rendering.
Yes. So they had this engine, and they wanted to make a game with this engine, but they didn't have an idea for a game.
Right.
The opposite of how things usually go. They tried racing games, shooters, survival games, stealth games, and even kind of a heist game, which is closest thing to what this is. None of them worked
Right.
at this point. And Bengtsson left for several months at this point.
Yeah. Gustafsson kind of continued on his own, developing the heist concept a little bit further. The earliest versions of it, the levels were very corridor-like. You would go along your path down and make alterations to the path to get back from the far end where the objective was to your escape. But this was expanded to open levels when Bengtsson rejoined the team, and they decided, yeah, this actually works way better. The more open this is, the better for us.
This came out in early access, October 2020, as half of the intended game. It's called Part 1. It's what you've been referring to there. And the response to this was very positive, so they worked on Part 2, put that out in December 2021, and the full game came out this year, not too long ago, actually. Didn't go into 1.0 with those 2 parts put together.
Right.
And we're only talking about Part 1. It sounds like we're giving it short shrift. We're not. It's a full game. Part 1. Part 2 is also a full game. It's just in the same engine.
Yeah.
And it introduces new stuff, like even just poking into it. It's like, oh, there's photography now and there's robots.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of stuff, but we're not going to be bereft of anything to talk about.
Yeah. Completely different mission types, gigantic new maps. I just, the comparison that I have in mind is like, it's like from Hitman 1 to Hitman 2, or 2016 to Hitman 2. It's kind of what it feels like. And Part 1 alone is like a 15-hour game.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you have levels this dense, introducing a level, is a really meaningful expansion. It's not just like a level pack.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. These levels are meant to be played and replayed with different objectives. Weird amount of Hitman DNA in this.
I mean, when I was pitching it to people after I found it, I was like, oh, it's like Hitman, but with property crimes.
Yeah. You nary a murder. So you start off, you get off this bus and go to your business location, the Lockerell Teardown Services Warehouse. Lockerell is fake. It's the weird European country this takes place in.
Yep.
It's got a real Europe sea line there, shoreline. And we get our initial tools, which is a fire extinguisher, the spray can, and the sledgehammer.
Yeah. We turn on the power and we check our email. Tracy, aka Mom, who is also our head of sales, says, hey, our gas bill is due and we might not make it to the end of the month. We're probably going to need to get creative when it comes to finding our next job.
This is a crime mom.
Yes.
She knows what she's doing. This is the mom from Goonies. Pushing you into crimes. What if an illegal mom?
What if there was a mom who wants crime?
Yes. When moms are outlawed, only outlaws will be moms. It's Tracy time. Yeah. Yeah. And like all moms, she forwards an email to you.
That was the day she went from being a mother to being a mom when she found a rich man who needed something done on the sly.
Yeah. This guy named Gordon Wu. He's the general manager of Evertides Mall, and he wants you to knock over a building that's in the way of that mall's expansion. And we get kind of our tutorial here called the old building problem, which is one of the levels I did replay just because it's fun to not have any time limits or alarms or anything.
Yeah.
It's just you destroying. It's like where if you want to do the 2022 overread of this, like this, poor person preying on these other poor people to get rich off of horrible rich people.
Yep.
Like you're destroying somebody's house. It's this residential area. It's nobody's in the house right now. But it's not this dude. The dude's definitely doing something shady. Having to knock it down.
He's trying to eminent domain it. It's basically the plot of Dirty Work starring Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
So, but you have this 2-story building, it's a house and you're next to a construction site. So there's all kinds of construction equipment and you also have propane tanks, which you can hurl, but not enough to take it down with just those alone.
The first time I played this, I did not realize you could get into vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And just me being an idiot. So I just did it with my tools that I had in propane tanks. There's a way to take it down with that stuff. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
Though. You want to go in there and get those vehicles.
Yes. Yeah. And something that is being taught here is that you can take down a lot of the house with just the sledgehammer. That'll take out wood material, that'll take out, anything plastic or glass, but what it won't take out is masonry or metal. And you will learn that very quickly the hard way when you realize that the chimney stands well above the height line that you need to bring this down by. So you're very quickly going to be looking for heavier duty stuff than what you can carry.
It also is teaching you about the janky physics.
Yes.
Because you're very likely to end up with this house just being supported by a sliver of chimney.
They just don't make them like they used to.
Yeah. It ends up being very floating city.
Yeah.
Looking you can end up with some really surreal, beautiful sci-fi escapes.
Yeah.
You're blowing up the bottom floor without the top floor.
Yep.
This. Regardless of how you get this down, though, the next morning the alarm clock wakes you up. The only way to stop it from going off is smashing it with your hammer, which is real cute.
Of course.
Somebody comes and replaces all your stuff in the night.
Oh, yeah.
Which is great. I smashed the TV many times when it bored me.
Yeah. You do play.
Man.
You do play as Doom Guy in this.
Yeah. I'm done. Stop trying to teach me things.
Oh man. So you go down and you check your email, and you're living in this gigantic warehouse where your building is housed. This is what's going to be improved between missions, and you're sleeping on a shitty little cot upstairs.
Yeah.
You go down and Tracy emails, whoops. There was a sign out front of that building you destroyed. It was a protected cultural site and we're under investigation. The traffic camera spotted us.
Yeah. Which, no more traffic cameras after this. This really gave me a inaccurate view of how much danger I'd be in.
Do I have to spray paint over my license plate every time I flee?
Yeah. What do I need to worry about? So a detective emails us this, Parisa Turdeman emails us and asks us to do a favor. Says hey, there's somebody named Lawrence Lee Jr. of Lee Chemicals They've been evading taxes, but I can't get proof. Can you go into their industrial site and steal their computers?
Yeah. Kind of the idea being there's a little bit of blackmail going on. Teardown is, knows that you will help her in order to get away from, it's never outright stated, but that's the read that I got it.
Yeah. Scratch my back.
Yeah.
And I won't execute you by the state.
I love how shitty Lee is.
They're all shitty.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like Lee is real shitty, but they're all just absolute fucking clueless dorks. Just absolute shits.
Yeah. He recently inherited his dad's business. When he shows up, he's got just this awful mutton chops into a mustache. Just looks real just real unsavory kind of guy.
Real Danny McBride.
Yeah.
This introduces us to the Lee Chemicals map, which we're going to spend quite a bit of time at. This is a large industrial facility with multiple buildings, some office, some warehouse, some manufacturing.
Yeah.
And some of which you can only get into from ground level because they have bricks and metal bars, even though there are these very enticing metal vents that go between buildings that you can ultimately use as bridges.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah. So you have to find a way to get in, oftentimes through these gratings or through these shutter doors, things like that. This is a real nice, I think this mission and the next one pair up very well because you're going around. There's no alarm or anything. It is just explore the space, grab what you need to grab, figure out how to get through these different materials, and then get out at your leisure, figure out like, okay, man, it's a real bummer walking around to this big kind of canal, that runs up the middle of this map, getting a sense for what happens here. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you move on to the next to the next mission, the login devices. We're gonna have to go back here, but we see how the world state will change. Even though we are going to the same levels, things are going to be different. Namely, this time, because of the break-in, they saw that the computers were missing. Lee Chemicals is going to be upgrading their security.
Yes. So the computers that we got show that Lee primarily deals with one anonymous client known as BT in the records. And we have to go back there to get the login devices for those computers so the police can learn more. These login devices are in 3 different locations and they're attached to alarms.
Yeah.
So this is our first instance of those. The way these work is if you disconnect them from their power source, they go off as well. Eventually there end up being ones you can transport bodily with the alarm and the power source.
You used to be able to do that a lot more. Because you would be able to just, say the security box is attached to a wall, right? You could just blow out that little section and carry that little bit of wall because it was checking to see if the wire was snapped at all, not if the whole thing was moved. They got rid of that because it was just a way to break the game.
Yeah. Yeah. It obviates alarms.
Yes.
You just put all 3 of them by the car and then just hit them 1, 2, 3, or all 6 of them, if you're doing optional objectives or what have you.
Yeah.
There's still a couple of situations in which you can do that.
Yeah.
In the game. And when that happens, it's great. I like them being sprinkled throughout.
Yeah.
I could see what they were thinking of it being tedious to do it every time.
Drive the car, drag the generator, drive the car, drag the generator.
Yeah. So this, the game's really kind. Before you grab the first one, it tells you what's going to happen.
Yes.
There's going to be an alarm. You want a quick save here, and this is where you get your 60-second countdown. And you get to, at this point, if you don't know, you hadn't played this before, you probably are like freeballing it.
Yeah.
The way you're playing. And I certainly was. So getting this countdown, it's starting, I was not prepared.
Yeah.
I did not have a route optimized. I thought I could just grab at my leisure. I didn't know how much time I would have, and I didn't know how difficult it would be to do this stuff. So this is where it actually introduces the concept of the game. You creating your paths, you planning your route, spray painting how to get these things before you leave.
Mm-hmm. The big trick on this one is that canal that I mentioned earlier. Well, you can use the crane to pick up some of these metal shipping containers and then just drop them into the canal to form a bridge. And you can start on that one and then run across and get the others in a path that will leave you, when you grab the last one, kind of closest to the escape vehicle.
Yeah. I just drove the crane into the ravine and jumped on it.
Yeah, also works.
Yeah, like you don't. The way that water works in this game is also janky.
Yeah,
like being able to jump out of it is inconsistent. But typically, it's not deep enough that a car will sink in it.
Yes.
So cars as bridges. For the check it out. What did we learn today? Thing at the end.
Yeah.
When you finish this, we get our new tool. Here, the blowtorch. The blowtorch is going to allow us to destroy at close up, kind of one voxel at a time.
Yeah.
Including things that are metal. And masonry, at the cost of possibly starting fires.
Yes. Also, you only get a limited amount of time to use this.
Yes.
So just activate a time, how long you hold it down, and that is one of the things you can upgrade on that.
Yeah, and is worth doing because it's very useful early on, being your only way to deal with stone and masonry.
Yeah, to get through barred up windows and such.
Yeah. The economics of your situation continue to decline. Your gas has been shut off, so you have to start scaling up to do more crimes. We get a message from Wu who thanks us for clearing room at the mall and has another job for us. There is a nearby marina, and he wants to dock his yacht there, but there's a timeshare cabin blocking the space. It's like, hey, get rid of that cabin.
Yep. So we got to go. And this is massive. This is probably the size of maybe 2.5 of the Lee Chemicals maps, or at least the main active part of the Lee Chemical map. It's this marina that is arranged around this bay. And there are multiple kind of discrete sections. Kind of at the far west, you have, at the far east, you've got the industrial part. The center is kind of a construction area. North is like the management building, and then at the far west is where you get the dock with the timeshare cabins and stuff.
Yes. Yeah. In addition to just getting rid of this cabin, we had to grab a couple safes.
Yeah.
While we're here, safes are a recurring element in this game, and they tend to be really heavy. Some of the small ones you can kind of drag by hand. Yeah. The big ones, you literally have to, like, the way they model this is really good. You have to kind of end over end walk them.
Yep.
For them to work, or get creative. Figure out a way to destroy the floor under them or create ramps, things like that.
It's like Walt and Jesse trying to escape with the methylamine a little bit.
Yeah. Very similar. This really works for me, doing these things. Every time there's a safe, it's a real fun, like, we slow down. Like you cannot just grab this.
No,
you got to figure something else out.
Yeah. And just, the number of times, like, okay, you've got to get this out of a second story window. Oh, I can't get it over the ledge. Fuck. Oh, I thought I accounted for this. Oh no.
Yep. So pull out the shotgun, blast open, the bottom of the window.
I can rescue this. I can save this.
Yep.
It's still good.
Very good. Fun moment.
Yeah. But what you're doing, specifically the one in the the one in the main office, is you're getting rid of the cabin and also any evidence that the cabin existed.
Yeah. You're basically going to torment.
Yep.
Planescape torment this cabin by disbelieving it. And so typically getting rid of the actual cabin on the end is really great. This is where this was in a draft version of it because it ended up not being fast enough. But I love these things where you can literally go underwater and destroy the support structures under a dock. So it just falls into the water. It's absolutely brutal. This is slow.
Yeah.
Doing that, going underwater is always slow. So ultimately, eventually I ended up just using the smashing the bottom floor of the house rather than getting in the water.
Yeah. It's doing anything under there is under the water, like all that would do is if you take out the supports, as you want to aim a little bit higher up so that the posts don't bottom out, so it'll drop down faster. Then you would get up and destroy it from the top down. Getting in and kind of doing things from the first floor is really difficult because this is the first level that introduces fire alarms. So if there's a big enough fire, it will start the alarm and you have to get away. That is a problem. The cabin itself, like you will find if you're destroying stuff, there are pipes, specifically the shower, that need to be cut through. And this cabin is close enough. It's close enough to the next one that will catch fire. And you'll think, okay, I've put out the fires that are in here. What's happening? And then you'll step out and you'll see the whole row is caught. It's like, well,
yeah,
fuck.
they'll eventually. And this kind of stuff, like if you can get out before the fire alarm goes off, like you're fine as well.
Yeah.
You can leave with some fire going on.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily your problem. It just increases your time limit. So if you had done the safes before this, and then gone here last, you might be able to just like jump in the boat and run to your escape boat. Or get your escape boat to your escape boat.
Yeah. You're just the multiple chains of escape vehicles that you have. Yeah.
The safes here are really difficult. The trick is to use cars and just go through the building and smash the ceiling. So they fall into either a construction vehicle or a civilian vehicle.
Yeah, the one in the warehouse over to the east is the easiest because that office is just over a loading dock, and there's a there's a dump truck right there, so you just pull it under and then blow the bottom out, which is fine. The one over in the office is tougher because there are brick planters laid around it, and explosives are not necessarily really handy there. That was one that I just pushed out and walked over to the sea.
Yeah, which is really tense and fun with a time limit because it's slow.
Yeah.
That's it for this one. Afterwards, you get the shotgun.
Yes.
Which we talked about. That's great. It's really satisfying. It's loud. Makes a big explosion.
Yeah. Blows, anything and everything, pretty much. I couldn't find anything that I destroyed. It was kind of the MVP of my tools. I also love this television report is worth watching because it's not a CNN style thing. It's not a news report. It's a paranormal mystery show about the ghost cabin that was there one day, but then gone the next.
Yeah, real Springfield, town full of idiots vibe with this area. The next mission is called Classic Cars. Lee outbid Wu for some classic cars at an auction. So he wants you to steal the cars back before Lee can ship them overseas. And they try to like tell you like, oh, this would be a crime. These are great cars and stuff, which is very funny for these just voxel, Lego cars.
Yeah. I love like one of the muscle cars. It was used in Seal the Deal too, Gary.
Yeah, love Seal the Deal.
It's the Ford Galaxy from Peel Out Summer.
It's the Spring Break Mobile from Boner Patrol.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you got to go and rescue these cars, quote unquote. And just and Wu was saying, it's kind of pulling an Augustus St. Cloud or a Billy Quizboy, like, oh, yes. he doesn't value them. He just wants them, so I can't have them, right?
Yep. Yeah, silly. Who cares about these horrible rich people? We had to load these onto our truck. We have a car carrying truck. One is on a tractor trailer and the other is in a container in the back of a boat that we have here on the marina. So we can move that tractor trailer. Here's one of those things where you can move the thing with the alarm.
Yeah.
Which you're going to want to do. Later in the game, you could get to a point where you could probably move the container.
Oh, yeah.
With construction equipment and enough cables. I never went back to this level though.
No. You can move the boat too. Like that boat is potable. Yeah. I just backed it straight into the drawbridge.
Yep.
So I could just drive right off of it. Yep. No worries. I don't care how much infrastructure I destroy. I'm playing Teardown, baby.
There are optional objectives as well to get the files.
Yeah.
And then tools in this warehouse that are above the muscle car. You get a little side mission to collect these tools.
Yeah. So I moved the boat near the truck, very, I think kindly. You don't have to maneuver the cars up into the back of the car carrier, which is nice.
Yeah.
Any of these where it's like, okay, load this up. All you have to do is bring the goods into the dotted circle behind your getaway vehicle and it will count as loaded.
It just disappears.
Yes.
It not only counts, but it gets it out of your way for the next vehicle. It's like very kind.
Yes. Yeah. And then moving the tractor trailer out is a little bit tough because, the car is in the back of it attached to the security thing. If you jostle it too much, it'll break. So you have to kind of go down this very tight corridor full of pipes and stuff without breaking stuff.
Yeah. Or smash all the pipes between you and there.
True.
It's during the non-time limit section. Yeah. So I just made this a straight shot. Turning Mario Kart 64 courses into Mario Kart courses is part of the central loop of this game.
That's a good way to put it.
So this sends us into the GPS device mission, which is in the marina again. Detective Turdiman. What a horrible name.
Turdiman. She really needs to fix that. How about Smith?
Yeah, Detective Sniff.
I said, would you say Sniff?
Yeah, what did you say?
Smith.
Oh, Smith. I thought you said Detective Sniff.
No.
The nose-solving detective.
Yeah. It's Always Sunny already pitched that. They laid claim to it.
Yeah. But Detective Shitman messages you and says like, hey, we can't learn anything about BT for these computers with the login devices. We need the GPS devices off of these boats in the marina.
Yeah.
And so we have to go get the boats or go get the devices in these boats.
Yeah.
And they're all corners of the map. One is suspended in dry dock. Another is on a trailer over the warehouse. And another one is over by the cabins.
Yeah.
And a fourth one is just actually in the water.
Mm-hmm. And this is all about kind of optimizing your path, as it always is. But you've got these boats. I don't think that any of them are attached. I don't think any of the boats are attached to their docks. Oh wait, the one over by the cabin is. That's the only one that is attached that is attached to the dock by a security line. So you would have to start with that one, I believe.
Yes.
And you cannot move that to a central location. That ultimately ended up being, I think, that's not where I started, but that one's optional, thankfully.
Yeah. The rest of them you can just kind of do. This is not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
There are log files in the marina office. They also want you to get, so that's another place you can start before you can take the boats and just drive them. Or you have driven the boats before you can go ping the boats into the near the escape vehicle.
Yeah.
So you line those up near there, raise the drawbridge so you can get through.
Yeah.
And you're going to want to have a ferrying speedboat to get you to all these different GPS units.
Yeah.
On your way.
Tricky one is the one in the dry dock. You can't really move that one without damaging it too much. I couldn't find a way anyway. This was before I got cables. I imagine if you had cables, you could cut a couple of the lines and then just yank it to get it get it into the water. But as it stood, I ended up needing to find a way to get up inside of it to grab what I needed and get away.
Cables are great. Those are great.
They're so bouncy.
You get the shitty version of them, planks, which are good. They're not as good as cables in this after you do this. And we enter the mission, the car wash here. Lee emails you being like, hey, I've had some property damage and theft, but I know I can trust you. I know Woo's responsible for this, so let's get some revenge. The prestige-esque two rich people trying to fuck with each other.
Yep. And this is our first mission at Woo's villa, kind of at his estate, which is this gigantic, ostentatious, rich guy, modern compound kind of thing. That kind of there are two levels, which is one of the biggest, the biggest things to deal with here. The upper level is the house, and there's a guest house attached to it with a gigantic pool. And then there's a lower level between the house and the ocean that has his own little race course. He's a real car enthusiast kind of guy. And there is like a sports car showroom and a little cabin at the very, very far end.
Yeah. And this is, you have to drive 3 of his cars out of 6 into the ocean at this point. This is real fun. This took me probably the most tries in terms of like being a speedrunner and figuring out which ones and trying to optimize. Very, very difficult because the last one in my first plan that I stubbornly stuck to, the last car was a very fast car. And the trick in this game is if a car is fast, it absolutely controls like dog shit.
Oh yeah.
There's there's nothing, you want the slowest car possible if you want to have any control over your turns.
Yeah.
So I just kept crashing into stuff and just kept iterating and iterating over and over, which usually I hate, but it was really satisfying in this because I was like, no, I'm going to fucking do it. And actually finally getting it felt great.
I'm going to make this happen. God damn it. Yeah. Any of the fast cars, especially the ones down in the showroom that are like explicitly racing cars, it is so easy to oversteer them. That and the way that some of the physics works in this, it is super easy to, again, kind of bottom out these cars if you go over any kind of loop, especially if it's like real low sitting. So you'll kind of just be going and like, okay, I can get over that bump. Thump, 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 thump. And you'll see that you've taken down half of your car's durability by not accounting for that bump.
And the durability, like if a car gets low durability, it just doesn't go anymore.
Right.
But there are other ways you can fuck up your car as well. Like everything being made of these voxels, like the wheels are made of voxels.
Yeah.
You can damage the wheel.
Right.
So your durability still says it's fine, but you drive really bad.
Yeah. Or there can be a small piece of debris wedged between the car and the ground.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where kind of the chaos physics come in. And you try again, and maybe it doesn't happen the next time.
Well, also some of the chaos that I love in this, just to laugh out loud moments, where it's just like, okay, I failed, but I failed in an entertaining way. I've got to drive these cars into the ocean, right? And that entails jumping out at the last minute. And sometimes that just doesn't happen, or you jump out at a little bit too late and you still have the momentum from your car and you end up careening into the ocean with it and you can't get back out of the water in time.
It's great. Yeah. That momentum is what I was talking about when it's like, oh, if I crash into the stairs and then I'll just like get out and start climbing up them immediately.
Yeah. Don't worry.
Like you can use that momentum.
You'll be blown clear. It's fine.
100%. Like, and it works. Like you can fling yourself. There's another mission you do here later. There's a lot of missions that we're going to talk about. They do blend together in my brain because you're in the same location. There's another one where I wasn't stealing cars. I was just using them to get around. Yeah. Where I used, the car, jumped out of it while I was still moving to launch myself up into the cabin. Basically into the sky. Like it's great. It's real fun. Very satisfying. Yeah. And very, one of them, to give you throw you a bone, one of the cars is on a truck. Yeah. Already. Which means you can get that right next to the ocean because the alarm is attached to the carrier.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not personally found a way to get all 6 of these, but I've gotten 5. And it's pretty satisfying. Basically, on any of these missions, I don't know if there's a mandatory target that requires you to go out to that little seaside cabin. Which is nice. That is almost always a challenge location.
Big time suck.
Yeah.
The way that speedrunners do all the either speedrun the game and do all the objectives is that there's a trick where if an object has 2 pieces to it, so if it's attached to something, you can use it to fly. You can just straight up fly on it. So speedruns of this game are really fun to watch because it's constantly like throwing a plank at the ground, shooting it with a shotgun, and then going like zipping off on this hoverboard.
Nice.
Into space. It's real cool. I want to learn how to do it just for, again, because it's fun to fuck around in this world.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be fun to be able to fly.
Yeah. After you do this, you get a new tool, pipe bombs. So pipe bombs, you cannot place them with absolute accuracy. They don't cause a huge explosion, but they're still useful.
Yeah. This is good if you are trying to destroy something, but you cannot run over to it, especially if it's, the timer is up. It's like, all right, I can do a Hail Mary. Just as I'm running by, I will throw that out and hope the explosion gets it.
Yeah. Yeah. And a little bit bigger explosion than the shotgun.
Yes.
Especially from a distance.
Yeah. This takes us to heavy lifting. This is a mission at Lee Chemicals. Detective Turdeman email saying, hey, there's probably going to be some incriminating information inside of Lee's safes. We need to grab a few of them. This is a real fun mission, again, because you're doing the, how do I move these very heavy objects in the Lee Chemicals environment? And very specifically, there are 2 safes that are in buildings that are across from each other over this little alley, and figuring out a way to get both of them into a dump truck is very fun.
Yeah. And there are also optional trucks you can attempt to get in there. We've already been, to this level. We basically know what it's like. I imagine this episode will speed up a little bit as we know the locations.
Yeah.
There's still one more new location that's coming up, or two more new locations that are coming up. But for now, it's like we kind of know the business. It's the geometry did not change very much. It's kind of a testament to how cool and dense these levels are, that they can just move your objectives a little bit and make them feel like a fresh experience.
Yeah.
One of my favorite levels is the next one in this, the tower. Wu emails you and says like, "Hey, Lee is completely overreacting about me rescuing those two luxury cars. So I need to get revenge. Knock over the iconic water tower that his dad built when he made the company. Get this down to size." And this is one where you get a temporary new item, bombs. Like these are like C4 charges you put on a wall, or timer based. But there's not an alarm in this. It's how do we take down this building or take down this tower a certain amount while keeping fires under control.
Yeah, that's your only constraint. And you're not really going to run into it because it's a brick building. Like all of the wood stuff is on the inside.
And you have a fire extinguisher. These freeform time limitless, like just how do you destroy this in a fun way levels, I'm very fond of.
Yeah.
As like really good pacing breathers.
Yeah.
From the tension of trying to execute something.
I wish there were more of them here. There are more of them in part 2. They got a little more canny about using those.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also wish there were more of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's great. Just, set up your bombs. This is also, you've already learned this, but if you were trying to knock over this tower in real life, you'd put bombs on one side.
Yeah.
And then we just do the rest. So this is possibly the most ludicrous you can get of like an entire tower standing up on one brick.
Right. Yeah. There's a map in part 2 that explicitly requires you to blow stuff away on one side. I don't know how they managed to get that to work there and not here. But yeah, I eventually figured out a way to, but really all you have to do is like blow away more of one side of the base than the other. And then just blow the side away from the direction you want it to fall last. Like I got rid of this by making it tip into the canal, and it ended up working out just fine. Also, like this can end up being held up by the weird vents that are running from either side. So that's going to be one of the first things you want to cut away.
Yeah. Yeah. The support vents. There are vehicles you can use on this as well, but it's hard to maneuver around because it's very tight space.
It's right up against the water too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. After you take this out, Tracy emails you and says, "Hey, our work's going well, but listen, apparently there's some maniac running around, blowing everything up and doing horrible stuff, not working for the cops."
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Kind of an infamous mission here. Fine arts. This one takes us to the Wu estate. Lee emails and says, "Hey, Wu took it too far. He went after my dad's penis. I mean, his tower. So we're going to hit back, and the only place that'll really hurt his irreplaceable art collection. So we're going to go back to the Wu estate, and there are 6 total paintings that you need to get. And these are spread to all corners of the compound. You're not stealing the cars, which are their own means of conveyance. So you have to end up being a little bit more canny about kind of setting up your transport between the different targets."
Yeah. And the game's very intentionally, the level set out for that. There are a lot of just bonus cars of multiple stripes around. There's like workhorse sedans and race cars available at most of these junctions. So you get to choose. This is the one where I crash and I just launch myself up into the cabin. To get there. Real fun level.
I didn't launch myself up into over to the cabin. What I did, there's kind of a sloped ramp over by the guest house with that so you can steal a car in the showroom, drive it up that sloped ramp, which would normally lead to the garden. Because of the way the physics work and because of the way the level is laid out, instead you launch up and into the second floor. Into the second floor of the mansion, into Wu's bedroom, through the window there. And that is the quickest way to get from low to high. And this is one of the few missions where it ended up working out that you could do that. Normally I end up working high to low just because, again, falling is faster than climbing.
Yeah. I think I started in the bedroom, if I recall.
Okay.
In fact, I know I started in the bedroom, and then I had the hallway that goes out of his bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
It had a hole in the floor and a car below that.
Oh, yeah.
So running out and then falling that hole, when I talk about like speed run optimization, like things like you can be a distance away from a car,
mm-hmm.
and if you click the drive button, you'll teleport.
Yes.
To it. So getting that, executing that, they're like, frame perfect, pressing E,
mm-hmm.
or, to get in there. That was a big part of my journey for this.
Yeah. Next mission, we get a new guy, a new contact who has heard about and appreciates our work. This mission is called Tool Up. It takes place in the marina. We get an email from this guy, Anton Wolf. He's a construction company owner. Says, hey, there's some construction happening at the marina around this new dock or something. Can you steal me some of those high-end tools that they're using?
Yes. Yeah. One of the targets is on this barge that's over by the cabins. You can cut this barge free, and you have to push it, kind of drag it towards the drawbridge with a boat.
Yeah.
A barge, does not locomote on its own.
Mm-hmm.
We had to pull it. At this point, you don't have cables. So this is where I ended up using planks, janky planks, and having to go real slow. I did not push it. I pulled it.
Yeah.
Here, but you want to get that over near your ending point to cut down on your execution time.
There was something about the physics that made it so pulling was just way harder for me to do. I've definitely pulled it in the past, but I found that pushing was like, okay, I'm not going to use this boat for anything else. So I grabbed a slow one in order to basically use it up to get that barge across the bay.
Generally, and then in addition to this, like there are tools up on this pavilion that's up on a hill.
Mm-hmm.
They have to climb up. So you can actually, if I recall this one, I crashed a boat into the side of that and
launched.
Skyrim jumped up the, no, I didn't launch. I Skyrim jumped up the bushes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On the side.
Yeah.
And made a little entrance to get in there.
Yeah, no, I used a van because it had the high roof, and I made ramps using the planks because I just moved the barge up to the drawbridge, and my path involved jumping down to the barge, grabbing the thing, jumping back up, and then running up the ramp to the pavilion, and then getting out to the through to the docks through the main office building.
No, nice. There are a lot of different paths through this. And you get a semi-useful tool after this, the handgun, which it's like a distance blowtorch, like lets you kill one voxel.
Yeah.
At a distance.
There's a mission later on that really, really depends on this. And eventually you're going to get an actual sniper rifle to shoot things at a distance. This is still pixel accurate. At least it feels like, for destroying explosive things from across a map.
Yeah. This moves us into art return. Gillian Johnson from Woo's Insurance Company has emailed us and says, hey, Woo's Insurance claims are bankrupting us, which is, great. Can you steal that art back, from Lee at the Marina so it's not missing, so he doesn't have a claim? And you're like, sure. Why not? This is also a really creative mission. I wanted a lot more of this stuff.
Same. Yeah.
There's no time limit to this. However, there's a lightning storm going on that will destroy the level around you and start fires.
Yeah.
So you just need to do the things that you're supposed to do without worrying about an alarm, but trying to control this act of God that's happening around you.
It's like, okay, I'll get caught if a fire brings people here, so I just need to keep the chaos to a minimum around me as I go about this. And the lightning doesn't just catch fires, start fires. It will destroy the geometry that you need to get up to places. So, you're used to in the setup phase is where you're going to be using your planks most of the time. Okay, I'm going to carefully construct this ramp to get, between these two buildings or to get up this, rise a little bit easier. Here, panickedly making ramps in this real big hurry while the level burns around you because your staircase up to where you could grab this painting is big thumbs up. This is just a real standout for me.
It's real good. Yeah. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Love it. We get bombs at the end of this so we can keep our bombs. Yeah, and we take our money and build a bedroom.
Yeah,
in a warehouse.
So we're not sleeping on a cot in a big open drafty warehouse anymore. We're moving on up, baby.
This moves us on to the Blue Tide computers and our first new map in a while.
Yeah.
Hollow Rock Island.
Yeah. Parisa, the detective, emails saying, hey, we use the GPS devices to track the shipments to Hollow Rock Island, this, small little fishery island off of the coast of Laquelle. But BT, that mystery client, is actually a company. It's Blue Tide. This company that makes this energy drink that her daughter is addicted to. She wants information about these payments that Lee has been making. Because there's a relationship between Lee and BT, so we're gonna have to go and grab the computers there. This is the game that makes getting the data interesting to me. I'm realizing, seeing all of this in one place.
You get a lot of files. This you upload the combat data quite a bit because it could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the issue with getting the data in Batman Arkham Knight or something is that you're just doing the same thing you always do.
Yeah.
To get the data. And Batman Arkham Knight, the combat in that game is good, but those games live and die more on the context.
Yeah.
That's surrounding what you're doing. Teardown, it does not matter the context.
No.
The story of this and what you're doing, it's kind of fun, but it barely matters.
Right.
Really, you just want to engage in these play spaces.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more freeform and goofy and expressive.
Yeah.
So I don't care if I'm collecting data or if I'm collecting, anything.
Yeah. Kind of doesn't matter. It being, data or GPS devices doesn't matter. The placement is more important because it is trying to get me to figure out how to get between these 3 points in the shortest amount of time.
Which is always going to be more of a puzzle than how do I fight these 3 dudes guarding data versus 3 dudes guarding the penguin. It doesn't actually change it enough.
Right.
There. You could reskin this as you are Donkey Kong and you're collecting bananas, and I still like it.
Yeah.
That's how much, the core of it is fun and compelling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hollow Rock rules.
Yeah. This is a great map. It's a big kind of resort, but it also has a prison on it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a gift shop. Lots of height differences. It's like this rocky little island village almost.
Yeah. There's a lighthouse at the center. There are all kinds of chemical manufacturing buildings and warehouses on one side. Like the kind of the main the main mountain with some of the mansions on top, some of the resort area that is completely hollowed out. It's a cave, with where the old fishery used to be. And there's still the equipment from that, and also still some of the fish from that littered about.
Spooky. Yeah, it's great. Really, really fun to make your way through this and get those things.
Yeah.
The next, we didn't talk about this, but there are also optional missions.
Yes.
And not just optional objectives. I never did this one because I could not do the driving.
Okay.
This introduces the speed deal here, where Lee's like, hey, here's how you humiliate Wu, break into his house and beat his record time on the racetrack. And I went in there and I tried it, a couple times. But I just can't get the hang of driving fast in this engine.
So this is really interesting because on the face of it, this seems like it's okay, master our driving engine, it's real floaty, especially when you're doing fast cars. And though this track isn't very huge, it has, some really tight curves. You can, I can break the record. I can get under 30 seconds. Using the sports cars that are here. That's not really that big of a concern. You just have to know how to use the handbrake and drift, because when you're out of control, you're in control, I think is how that goes when you're Tokyo drifting. The actual puzzle of this, so there are different optional goals for this. So the times are 30 seconds, 25 seconds, and 20. I don't know if there is a way to, get down to that lowest one by playing fair. But this is a game that is all about modifying the map. And once you figure out the way that the racetrack works, what you can do is it's gauging your time by checking when you go through these checkpoints, which are these gates that are suspended over these on these scaffolds over the course. And these gates are attached to power on these light poles. What you can do is cut down the scaffolding, cut the gates off of the supports, and then move those to where you can just drive in a quick circle around them.
Oh, nice.
The placements of them are still limited by the lengths of their cables. And you still need to do a little bit of off-roading to make it work. But the highest one that you get is 30 seconds to beat. My final time was under 15 seconds getting this done.
Yeah, with the cheat.
With the cheat, yeah. And just once I looked at it, I saw, there are cables leading to those. I wonder if, oh shit, okay, here we go, yeah. Because I thought the secret initially was off-roading, and that's how I got the second, the second optional objective, or the first optional objective rather, the 25 seconds. But then I got the 20 by actually just modifying the course.
Yeah, nice. The finishing it gets you the cable, which we talked about. This is used for dragging and towing and is very useful. It's a lot stronger than planks.
Yes,
and less janky.
Mm-hmm.
So you have limited numbers of them, but you can set up many of them to make something more secure.
I love how bouncy they are.
Yeah, and they're very bouncy. It's real fun.
Yeah.
This leads us into the next mandatory mission is called insurance fraud. This is at Wu's estate as well. Wu emails says on I'm really frustrated with my insurance company. They're dragging their feet on these payouts. So can you quote unquote steal some of my cars and raise the total on them? Astute viewers will know we've already stolen
many of his cars.
Yeah, from this guy. So there is an element of, I'm really glad that part 2 from when I poked into it is really upping the number of the number of variety of kind of things you're doing.
Yeah.
This, because it does, when you're playing the game, there's enough space between these things, but talking about them does make it sound maybe more repetitious than it really is.
Yeah.
Or than it feels in, in execution.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel a little bit like we just did this.
Yeah. Something that is nice as well is you're going to get a handful of optional missions. I think some of the missions we talked about were optional. I just didn't treat them as optional in the notes. You oftentimes have a choice between 2 and 3 missions that you can do. If you decide, I just did a car stealing mission. I don't want to do that again. Take me over to this destruction mission, etc.
Yeah. I think there's one optional mission before this.
Yeah.
We talked about, there aren't very many optional missions in a general sense. I think there's only 2 or 3.
Yeah. I think the tool one was optional.
That could be.
Yeah.
But that one's also easy and fun.
Yes.
So but we're stealing cars.
Mm-hmm. You only need to steal 3 of them. There are 6 total available here. This is the one where the cars are attached to mobile security devices. And there are just a ton of them that are this way. So, doing this one optimally is a little bit tedious. One's attached to this generator. So I'm I couldn't find a way to move it without breaking the cable. So it was okay, drive the car a little bit, drag the generator in front of it to give myself a little bit of a lead, drive the car a little bit. I moved, I think, 3 of them as close as possible. In order to get all of the optional kind of stuff. If you're just doing the mandatory ones, it's relatively, it's basically the same as the one before.
Yeah. This moves us into a wet affair. Gillian Johnson emails us saying the insurance company can't keep Wu around anymore. Dump his safes in the water to ruin the insurance paperwork. We're going to make it seem like he never had insurance with us. Constant gaslight wars among the wealthy.
Yep.
There's no moving the safe alarm, but they have a moisture alarm on it.
Yeah.
So once you dump one of them, the timer starts, and the twist here is that's raining.
Yep.
I love this mission because I ended up doing a lot of weird shit like creating umbrellas or moving umbrellas to create little paths for the safes.
How'd you make umbrellas? Because I relied on the box truck.
We just cut them down and lean them. Just physics shit.
Okay.
So the safe, the big one that you have to do end over end, that's on the little bridge.
Uh-huh.
At the top, I blew out the floor so it'd fall down below, and then there's a short space to the pool. The pool is the other trick of this, is you have to realize you don't have to take things to the ocean. And then took umbrellas from the other pool, the pool to the south, and carried them up.
Okay.
And then leaned them on each other to make a little canopy.
Nice.
To get these safe closer.
I didn't even think about umbrellas because, you do not end up, it's not instantaneous if rain hits them. It's just if enough rain hits it in a short enough amount of time. So like you could definitely do like a leapfrog kind of thing with those. That is smart. I didn't think about that. Yeah. No, I ended up taking the box truck around, and it's fun just because of the jank. As you're loading these in, you're going to start breaking the sides and maybe the top off, depending on the angle of loading. So by the end of it, I'm just driving around this absolutely destroyed box truck, desperately hoping that the stuff inside doesn't shift or the cables and planks don't break to where one of the safes gets exposed to the rain before I can drive this entire thing into the ocean. Yeah.
Very, very good. I like this mission quite a bit.
Yeah.
I also like the next mission quite a bit. The next mission's great. Maybe my favorite mission in the game.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if you get this rocket launcher, that helps out.
Yeah. Well, even if you don't, there are many rocket launchers on site.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Covert Chaos is the mission.
This is at Evertide's Mall. We're back, baby. And instead of this time, instead of taking down a cultural heritage site, we get our construction guy, Anton Wolf. He really, really wants the job of replacing the Evertide's Mall food court with a parking garage, which seems weird. But you can't get that job if the job doesn't exist. So we need to help along with a little bit of let's say on spec demo work. And what we have to go ahead.
Yeah, it's very clever. Like you do it during a fireworks celebration.
Yep.
So instead of it being an alarm goes off, you have to have it covered up by the noise. They say they have like explosion sensors.
Yeah.
In there. But they're going to turn those off during the fireworks. It's also because of this parade event, it's Military Appreciation Day or something, which means that they have like a rocket launcher or a minigun rather under glass near the band, and just tons of missile launching tanks and vehicles hanging around. And also a big tanker truck full of gasoline. And you have as much time as you want to like prep this stuff. But then once you set it off, you have 2 minutes to destroy this part of the mall and get away.
Well, it's not setting it off. You set everything up and then you go rest in your van until the fireworks display starts. Yeah. But I just love, so you just setting up my own like miniature Waco, just surrounding this place with tanks and the missile launchers and getting the gas tanker up under the thing. And then just you're running between these stations to fire and destroy this. You only have to destroy 50% of it with the minigun and your rocket launcher and all that. It is really easy to get all of these, to get all of the optional objectives. And it was so fun that the thing that kept me from succeeding at this was forgetting that, I have to escape. And I was like, no, let me fire more, please. I want to take this thing out. Come on.
It's real fun. Like this is a great mission.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And we're kind of in the home stretch at this point. We're not quite to the end, but we're in the last like kind of run up.
Yeah.
Here. This leads us into power outage here. Wu says that Lee has finally gone too far and it's time to put him out of business. So we have to destroy the power generator at the hydroelectric plant. Watch out. There's hydroelectricity in there along with the auxiliary power sources.
Yeah.
And this is where you notice that there's a whole other half to the Lee Chemicals map on the other side of a lake.
The building just kind of extends around to the other side of this bay. I love that like in one of the buildings at the far end is basically an arc generator from Iron Man or something. Yeah. This is the mission where the gun ends up being super useful. Because, a lot of what you're going to end up shooting, is not just, propane tanks. It's probably going to be on the other side of the map. And also you have these transformers that are high up on buildings. So like it's worth investing a couple of upgrade points in increasing your ammo on this so you can have a number of shots to take. If you have not been upgrading, I think you only have 6, and that is not enough to get this done.
Yeah. And you get 12 for upgrading. Like the upgrades for ammo are very meaningful.
Yeah.
In terms of amount.
Yeah. The first part of this mission, like the setup for it, in addition to clearing your path, the usual kind of teardown stuff, you start out with this gigantic bomb that you have to get over to the hydroelectric dam and set up near the turbines. This is pretty hard because, at least the way that I did it, you have to figure out a way to get it up some stairs, which is very difficult to do. I couldn't find a way to reliably get it loaded up onto a boat to get across. How did you end up doing this?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember it being difficult for me to get the bomb over there. And then I didn't end up doing the optional objectives on this. So the bomb was kind of where I started.
Gotcha.
Out with my route that I had created. But yeah, I don't remember it being super difficult to get it over there. So I know that's unsatisfying, but I just don't recall.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest of the prep that you end up doing is blowing away some of these, blowing away the holes for you, including one of them. There's one target that is in the far building across the canal from everything else. And it's just all you have to do is kind of damage the generator with an explosion. So what I did was I blew away holes through every single building between that was blocking the target across the canal, and then I put a little X on the on the ground where I would need to stand. I had the rocket launcher, and I also put a little dot okay, this is where you need to aim in order to fire this with the rise and fall to where it's going to hit. So part of my destruction run was okay, stand in this particular spot, fire directly at this, and then know that it is, the rocket's going to fly, it's going to travel, it will hit. Don't wait for that to happen. Fire it, run, and then blink. When I'm halfway across the map, that's when it hits. Real fun.
Yeah, it kind of has energy of setting up Frank's firework display.
Oh yeah,
in Deathloop. To go and you just go do about your business and just trust that will happen.
Yep,
it'll explode. Very good.
Yeah.
Once you do this and get the end, we get the leaf blower.
Yeah.
At this point, leaf blower is great. Real fun. Just it's useful, but it's also just fun.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of a mistake to deny it.
Yeah, I wish it was given a little bit sooner, because it is useful. It's annoying to pick up little bits of rubble after you blast something away, especially if it blocks you from jumping through a small hole, or if it scatters rubble on a driving path that will wedge under there and stop you. I wish that I'd gotten it sooner.
Yeah, it's useful, but not so useful that it feels like a huge power jump. Moving on, you get to motivational reminder. This is a Hollow Rock. We have 2 Hollow Rock missions before the final set here. Gillian from the insurance company emails and says, "Hey, we want to help you upsell Mr. Amantides from the Blue Tide Corporation with a motivational reminder. He doesn't think he needs insurance. Show him that insurance is good by destroying his shit."
Yeah, he doesn't. So basically running a protection racket. He does not want to pay to protect his propane tanks. We got to show him just how fragile these things are. And this is a fun one because it's all about finding this line of sight. Again, it's very similar to the previous one with power outage. But this is cool because it involves blowing away the sides of the, blowing away the side of the lighthouse to make it happen,
Yeah. Very good. Very useful for the pistol. I wish I had the sniper rifle at this point, but I don't. I never unlocked that.
Yeah.
Actually, I just know it from unlocking everything.
Yeah.
And playing in sandbox mode, but it'd be very useful.
It's a part 2 thing, I think, because it's more useful for the robots. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. The next mission is they start kind of really shaking things up here.
Yeah.
After we get these 3 things, we get the assortment of dishes on Hollow Rock. Detective Tournament emails and says, "Hey, the leak case is more complicated. our contact, or his contact at Blue Tides, the CEO, there's no records of this man existing. So you have to hack into these satellite dishes. They have him bring us the data. However, the owner has hired a armed helicopter to guard the island. So not only are you not stealing things, you have to hack something in place. Once you do, a helicopter comes out.
Yeah.
This is great because you are taking cover.
Yeah.
At this point, it's genuinely really intense to try to stay in a building as it's raining bullets down and crumbling the masonry above you.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
And it really changes your setup because you're not looking for efficiency. Obviously you want to spend less time outside than inside, but it's not about beating a timer. It's about clearing away anything that will stop you from dashing cover to cover. Like you do not want to be using a blowtorch or even the shotgun really to like blow away the right part of a door to get inside because this thing is above raining heavy artillery down on you.
Yes. Yeah. Really, really fun. And they bring this back in a way as well.
Yeah. And the helicopter can lose you too. Something that's really nice is anything that's important to your mission, you can track its location by an outline by looking toward it. So you can even see where this is through the walls. So you can tell if it's like looking the other way and okay, I've got time. This is when I am going to go and make a break into the open and hope that it doesn't see me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very good stuff. After you do this, as you make your way, you also, this is where the health system in this game comes into play, which is so vestigial. We didn't mention it in the generalities because it barely matters.
Right.
You take fall damage every once in a while, or you can get burned.
Yeah.
And you just heal on your own. You just stay away.
Yeah. It's pretty fast healing. Yeah.
Yeah. But it matters here. Like you cannot stay in the open with a helicopter shooting you.
It's not advisable.
Yeah.
The tool I got here was the rocket booster. This is what you put onto a car to make it into a rocket car.
Yes.
Or wait, no, this is what you put on objects. It's the vehicle booster that turns a car into a rocket car. This will turn a crate into a rocket crate.
Yeah, this is the one you put on a crate to make it fly out of the way. I have no idea how useful this would be. It's just real fun.
Yeah.
It's like a little charge you put on it and you can activate it whenever you want. The game very nicely, you can put multiple charges on. And then when you activate one, the game activates all the ones in a close vicinity at the same time.
This plus the cable is them really looking at the Just Cause series, specifically Just Cause 2 and beyond, because that's entirely what that game is about, is putting rockets and bungees on stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Our final mission here, it's a two-parter basically.
Yeah.
Is flooding. Detective Sturdman emails and says, hey, the last link in our investigation is Lee's financial reports, but his plant has been flooded. Everything has been moved upstairs. You have to get all these. And this is the biggest change that a map makes as well. This is this area we've become very familiar with is now flooded. The roofs and top floors are kind of like islands.
Yeah.
And we can only really get around by boat.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Boats are not easy to run. There, and you don't get very many of them. You get one fast boat and one shitty boat.
Yeah, the tiny little putt-putt boat that you gotta go around. It's like a rowboat with a little outboard on it. It does not go as fast as you would hope that it would.
Pretty garbage.
Yeah, I don't like this mission very much. I think it's way too spread out, and I just found myself I have no idea. I would have to watch a YouTube video to see what kind of strats people are using to optimize this, but I'm kind of constitutionally opposed to that with this game because for some reason this game breaks all of my previously established patterns.
I like this one. I don't know if it's because I wasn't doing optional shit.
Oh, maybe.
Just it was an appropriate challenge for me to do the minimum.
Yeah.
On this.
I mean, it's also really cool.
Like route.
Yeah, having this whole place changed as profoundly as it is really neat.
Yeah. It gives you an excuse to do like the main fun thing I remember, the thing I ended up liking about this is the over on the bottom of the map, there is a semi trailer that has one of the things you have to get in it. And taking that semi trailer and spending a long time welding the back of it off to try to make like a barge.
Yeah.
So I could carry it over to the plant and stuff. This never ended up working. I ultimately ended up just driving the thing through the trees, like clear cutting a section of this forest to drive it. But it was really, really fun trying to create a barge for a while.
Yeah, I could see that. And I didn't even think about moving that truck. So,
after you get this done, there's a really great climax in this game. You think you're going to just go back to your mission, but you get caught. They finally wised up.
Yeah, this helicopter that was previously like an end state, doesn't matter if you hop in your car, it is going to find you and it will chase you. Or no, you're not escaping in your car, you're escaping in the boat. And so this picks up like immediately after the flooding mission. You're being chased down this canal on this escape boat into a new map, into a map that's going to feature really heavily in part 2, Frustrum, which is this very long extended kind of small town downtown kind of vibe. And you're in this boat and you're going to have to bail pretty quickly because this helicopter is right on your ass, blowing the scenery apart behind you. You could raise the bridge, but that's going to take too long. You're going to have to proceed on foot and blow a quick path for yourself through this entire town to get to another escape boat on the far side.
Yeah. While a helicopter is after you, the helicopter from before. Real fun.
Mm-hmm.
Real freeform, felt actionier in a way that the rest of the stuff that I hadn't done felt. Really loved it.
Yeah.
So, once you get down to the end, you get to this little escape point, actually escape. We get our ending where Lee ends up getting arrested for tax evasion. So the quote unquote villain, which is just one of many villains, actually gets in trouble.
Yeah. And we know that Mr. Amonatides was pulling the string, and we're going to be going after him in part 2, whenever that is. I love how they say, after a series of unrelated incidents and good police work by Tournament, it's like freak mistakes. So and also local contractors and wall repairers have gotten rich and fat off of all of this. Yeah.
Good for somebody's dentist. Part 2 picks up, you've taken all your money and you have a nice apartment. You have a fancy apartment. It's 6 months later, it's in the winter. And like I said, I have not played tons of it.
Yeah.
I played a decent amount.
It's neat. It really ups the mission variety. But like, I don't know. I mean, like getting into final summation or whatever, like, I don't know. I'm a real mark for the for the 2-phase setup and optimize your heist kind of thing. There's just something that, like, I fired this up initially thinking that it was going to be just a fun little sandbox kind of thing, and that was true. When I first started messing around, but when that timer first went, tripped off, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I would not have. It's wonderful when a game delivers something to you that you would not have figured out how to ask for. Like, I would have not thought to describe Teardown as the thing that would be like my favorite game from the year that it came out. But they just delivered me something I didn't even know that I wanted, and it just really swept. And I love this game, and I'm
that
super
is a really
into
good
it.
Feeling.
Yeah,
like I did not know how to ask for this.
Yeah.
That's a very relatable feeling when it comes to art.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was super fun. I think that I'm less perfection driven with it in this game. So I don't, it wasn't super fun to me to try to figure out the best way to do everything. I just wanted to figure out my way to do everything and enjoy the chaos.
Yeah.
That ensued.
And you got similar feelings. Like you got the, I just squeaked by with less than a second when I got to my escape vehicle, which is,
great game for like it. The way that I ended up playing it did not feel super difficult. Anything. I feel like this is a difficult game if you're trying to do everything.
Yeah.
In it. But either way, it operates on both levels.
Yes.
Really, really fun. I want more games like this. This is the kind of thing that like one of the best things indie games can be.
Yes.
You know, like purely fun in the hands, not really like anything else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there aren't Teardown likes.
No.
You know, we can made some comparisons to Hitman. There's some comparisons to like Thief Simulator.
Yeah.
Things like that, but they're not direct one-to-one
Right.
comparisons at all.
Mm-hmm.
I want an indie game that is just this original thing that is absolute pure, dumb, joyous fun in the hands.
Yeah.
Good
Huge surprise. Love this thing. And
great game.
I'm going to continue playing part 2 because it has already sunk its hooks into me. Robots scary.
Yeah.
Robots.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to fucking with it.
Yeah.
I want to play with these new maps. So, yeah. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
What can they do, Cole?
Well, Gary, if people have thoughts about Teardown or any of the other games we are covering this month, such as The Beginner's Guide and Max Payne 3, they can go to Duckfeed.tv/contact. And there they can write in with their thoughts by, let's see here, we're looking at the 15th of May, so you have a couple of days. Forgive us as we get the timing on these announcements worked out, because this is the first episode where we're not doing the early release, at least for this show. But yeah, the deadline for any games month for any month's games is always the 15th of that particular month. Same goes for June's games, which are Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, Terra Enigma, Another World / Out of This World, and Vampire.
And yeah, looking forward to all those. Thanks everybody for joining us. We've got a lot of new people on the Patreon. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you. If you are hearing this and you haven't checked out our other shows, please do so. Mm-hmm. You know, give them a shot. Check them out.
Please do. Yeah.
And if you're just here, if you're listening for free, that's great. We appreciate you. That Max Payne episode and that Vampire episode are going to be premium episodes, which means everybody gets the generalities. Patrons at $5 or more get the full episode. There are a lot of those. You also get whole other shows and whole other episodes of shows. It is a really great value.
Yeah.
We think.
Yeah. And if you can't back us monetarily, we understand. Free things you can do. You know, you can tell some friends, you can go and leave a rating or review. All of it's there. But most of all, we just want you to come back next time. We're really happy to have you here.
Absolutely. What should they watch out for until next time, Cole?
Watch out for not having played Teardown. I think that not having played Teardown is a really bad thing to have happen, and you can fix that by playing Teardown.